Hey everybody, it's Tammy and welcome back to the Barnacle Custom Showcase, where we take a look at custom designed barnacle masks created by the talented modelers in the community. Last time we looked at Turaga Duma and the Kanohi Kirill that he wears as designed by King K, inspired by the appearance in Barnacle 2 Legends of Metru Nui. However, in that film, and spoilers by the way, there is in fact a shocking twist where it turns out that Turaga Duma is in fact the weekend drag persona of Makuta Pterodax. I for one would like to support old Terry and whatever makes him feel comfortable, and thankfully whether he is enslaving a city or just kicking back and chilling out in his spooky mirror beach house, King K's got him covered with a beautiful custom mask. For this is the Kanohi Kukan, the Mask of Shadows. It was introduced in this design in 2003 in the movie Mask of Light, but I'll explain in a bit why I'm focusing on his Turaga form. The version I've printed off has been printed out of translucent red resin and printed at a layer height of 0.025mm. As you can see, King K's given an axle at the top of the mask, so it fits more like a Glatorian head really, rather than having an axle behind the mouth where it could fit onto regular heads. This does parallel the set version of the mask, which also has an axle coming down, and so means you have to kind of connect it in the same way. This does cause some problems which I'll get to in a bit. Here's the mask after I gave it a light layer of primer, and then to begin with I just painted it a matte black. And whilst it did look good like this, I wanted more. I wanted this thing to look infected like it does in the movie. I gave it another all over coat, this time of dark red, and then I didn't take any footage of this, but I basically spray painted some dark green onto a non-porous surface and kind of splotched the mask into it to try and get kind of the random corruption like marks on it. This was pretty effective, but also kind of went too far the other way. If you compare it to the movie design, you can see that the red and green markings are mostly around the actual face and the dimple on the top of the head. So I created paper cutouts of those shapes, stuck them on, and then did yet another layer of black paint, and I think the result looks pretty damn good. However, I now had an issue of actually connecting it to a model. You see, the location of the axle pointing downwards made it perfectly impossible to put a regular head behind the mask, and also kind of made it impossible to put Bohrok eyes in an appropriate place. Whilst I was working on the mask, I had resorted to blue tacking eyes to the side of a connector, but once I was done, I decided to do something drastic and just snap off the axle altogether. This allowed me to hold the Bohrok eyes in place with a perpendicular connector and blue tack the mask on top, which wasn't ideal, but it was the best I could come up with. I also did try putting a matter head behind it, and it just didn't really look right. It's another one of those cases where you kind of have to adapt between the set and movie depictions. Speaking of which, let's take a look at how well this model reflects the Kukan's design in the movie. At first glance, it looks really, really good. All the key features are there. The eyebrows, the mouth, the cheeks, the forehead, they're all here on this design, although you can't quite see the distinctions between them in the same way because I've painted between a lot of the gaps. It also wasn't until I printed off this model that I realised the movie design doesn't connect the eye holes at the corners, which is slightly weird, but I can live with it. I wouldn't mind if King K or somebody created a version of this model that connected those up. For me, the only issue with this mask really is the proportions. This model seems way too thin for the movie design. I even dropped it into my slicer and stretched it out by 20%. I'll let you judge as to whether you think it looks better, but it would be a lot easier to fit a head behind it. It also just seems a little bit small. I did try putting it on Pterodax and Icarax, and on both of them it just looked a little bit silly. So I may well try printing off this mask at a larger size. Of course the axle will have gotten bigger too, so that won't work, but apparently just cutting and blue tacking is my way out of everything at the moment. However, right now on Duma, I think this mask looks really good. I'm glad I went back and gave it the black because it really makes the red and the green areas pop more. If I do print it again, I might try making it in gunmetal because that is kind of closer to the look in the movie. What do you think? Do you like this version of the Kukan? Are there any obvious places where I could have made the mask look better? Either way, I hope you enjoyed taking a closer look at this mask. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!